Hi, fellow coin roll hunters and coin enthusiasts. This is James, and you're watching my channel, CAD Roll Hunter. I have something incredible for you in this video I've never seen before. I don't know if I'll ever see again, but I got some pennies at my bank, and you won't believe what I got. In 2 rolls of uncirculated mint state pennies, we found 25 double die varieties. You got to stick around and check this out. It is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy this. This is James here. Thank you so much for watching my channel, CAD Roll Hunter. It's been harder and harder for me to get pennies. Just last week, I went to one of the banks I've often gotten pennies at, and they told me that they actually can't sell them to me anymore. I did get some pennies at another bank that I don't usually go to. They made me promise that I wouldn't bring them back. So I don't know how many more of these hunts we're going to be able to do, but I got some pennies, so we're going to be looking for errors, varieties, anything rare. We'll be separating out the copper, and it's going to be a fun one. Roll number 1, and right off the bat, we can see we've got a copper Lincoln cent. It's a 1980, minted in Philadelphia. I can see as I'm looking across my edges, there's a fair number of US. There's definitely some Canadian in there too. I'm not going to film all of the American cents unless I find something interesting like a wheat cent or a variety. It's really common, as you know, for us to find American pennies because people just have them here in Canada. But this one here, we'll just take a quick peek. It's a 1980, that's copper. And then right behind it, we've got a 1999, which is a zinc cent. So we'll kind of look through and see what we can find. Of course, we're looking for some older Canadians, maybe some King George VI, some Laureate Portrait Elizabeth, maybe even something older. I've never found a King George V, but you just got to keep your eyes open. I'll bring you back when we find something cool. Same roll, and we've got ourselves a really nice looking 1980. We'll take a look at the other side. It's not uncommon that one side will be great and the other side won't be. This one has a little bit of circulation wear, but it's still in a pretty red condition. So we'll add this 1980 to our board. And these are just some zinc, that's our American copper. We'll put that up there too. And we'll keep looking through. We're in roll number 3, and I found something really curious. This is a 2006. And there are a couple things happening here. First of all, it looks like the face of it has been polished in some way. You can see how little detail there is. But the rim itself is sort of sticking out in a way it wouldn't normally. And it's the same on the other side. Again, very smooth finish, but there's a very defined rim. I'm almost certain this is post-mint damage, but I'll look this up and see if I can find any similar examples. If you've seen anything like this before, or if you think you know what happened to it, please let me know in the comments for sure. This is a curiosity. I'm going to put it in the finds here anyhow as something interesting, and we'll keep on looking through our pile. Same roll, we got a 1968. This is the oldest of the hunt so far. It's just destined for the Copper Cup. We haven't found any Laureate Portraits or King George VI yet, but we'll keep on looking. Roll number 4, and we found our first Laureate Portrait. It is so heavily damaged, I had to put it under the scope to see that it was a 1956. And you can see it's really worn, scratched up. It's got a big gouge on the side. I will put it on the board for now, and we're, of course, going to hope that we get a better example of one of those coins somewhere in these rolls. Same roll, and I'm bringing you in because I have found a 1982 Denver minted small 2 variety. Now, for those of you who are familiar with American coins, this could be very common if it's made of zinc. If it's made of copper, it would be exceptionally rare. There might have only been a couple found. And the only way to know for sure is to take it and put it on the scale. So I'll turn the scale on here. If it is zinc, it's going to weigh 2.5 grams or more or less. If it is copper, it should weigh about 3.1. So we'll put it on. And there we go, 2.52. So it's the common zinc one. But this is the coin that everybody's looking for in the copper variety, and this is the only way you can tell. So if you tip the scale at 3.1, then you could be a very wealthy person. Just at the end of roll number 6, and we have found a 1963. This one doesn't look like it's been run over by a dump truck. There we go. 1963 Laureate Portrait. Roll number 8, and we found our oldest Lincoln penny of the hunt so far. It's a 1962 from Philadelphia. Roll number 9 of 20, and we've found ourselves a 1967 Confederation Commemorative. And what we can do is put that under the scope and look for any doubling on the date or anywhere on the reverse, and I don't see any there. We can flip it over and see if it has the doubling on the motto. We would see it particularly on these G's. You might see some of the serif behind there, and there's some damage on these coins, but I don't really see any doubling. Same roll, and we found our first 2012. That was the last year that the penny was issued in Canada, and ever since then, the bank or the mint has been withdrawing pennies from circulation, which is why it's been harder to get pennies. But this is the last one produced. Well, maybe not the very last penny, but one of the last pennies anyway. I'm just about to crack into roll number 11 here, and I just wanted to bring you in to see the comparison. We might have got a bit of a bonus because this one really seems a little overstuffed. Maybe it's been stuffed with some real goodies. Roll number 13, and we have found ourselves a 1964 Laureate Portrait to add to our board. Same roll, just a few coins later. We've got one that's obverse facing. We'll just take a peek and see what this is. And it's another 64. Same roll, and this looks like we've got ourselves a dandy here because I want to see some fingerprints, but there's a lot of mint luster on this one. It looks to be in really great condition. I'll just flip it over carefully. I don't want to get my hands on it too much. And it's another 64. You can see there's a fair amount of mint luster on this one still. We'll add that to our board. Still in the same roll, and we found our fourth 1964. Last coin of the roll, and we found something pretty interesting. This looks to be like a grease strike. You can see the 4 is barely visible. If I put it under the scope, you can see there, it doesn't look like it's been scratched off or anything like that. It just was probably struck through grease. Then 1, 9, and 7 are really clear, but that 4 is barely visible. That is definitely an interesting find for us to put on our board. I haven't found one that's quite that obscured. Roll number 14, and we are on a roll with our 1964 Laureate Portraits. We've got another one here in pretty nice condition. It's got some cool toning to it, but it looks to be mostly uncirculated. The detail is actually quite pristine. Let's see if I can get a better look. So we'll put that on our board for sure. Just towards the end of roll number 15, and I can see it peeking out at me here. Another Laureate Portrait. This one is a 1962, our first of the hunt. I just laid out roll number 16, and it looks like it's going to be a full roll of American pennies. So if we find anything rare or any Wheaties, I'll bring you in. Otherwise, we'll keep going through the rest of these rolls. Roll number 17, and this time what we found is a 1963. I've just opened up roll 19, and it appears that what we found is a uncirculated roll of all 1967 pennies with the rock dove. It looks like, as I look, that they're all the same. They all are pretty red. And so what that means is that we can scope all of these, and I'll look to see if they're all the same, but yeah, you can see how nice these are. We can put them all under the scope, and we can be looking for any doubling on both the obverse and the reverse. So again, anywhere on the date or on Canada. And I wonder if we saw a little bit of a shadow of something there. No, not so much. A little bit on that C. It looks like you can see some doubling right here. It could just be a shadow, but I'll be looking closely at all of these. And then, of course, on the obverse, the doubling would be really pronounced on the Regina here. Particularly, you might see a double serif on the G. So I'm going to look through all of these. I'll verify with you if this is a full roll of uncirculated 1967s, and of course, if we find anything really interesting. All right, I'm just looking at the third one in the roll here, and I'm bringing you in because we can see substantial doubling all along the obverse on the lettering in Regina. We can actually see it along the base of the bust here. And if I flip it over and look at the dates, we've got doubling on this side as well. You can see it here on 1967. And if I just move it over a bit, you can't see it as much on Canada, but this has doubling on both the obverse and the reverse, which is pretty fantastic. And it is in uncirculated red condition. So I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to see if we can find any more of these. Okay, I'm looking at the 14th coin in this roll, and you can see I've got another one with some doubling all through the obverse legend here. And if I flip it, we also see some doubling on the date. Not as dramatic as the other one, but you can see doubling really across the bottom of all of these numbers here. You can see the top of the 7 and the base of the 7. So that's another fantastic example. I'll put that in the pile. That's 2 so far. Hopefully we'll find some more. We're looking at coin 25 in this same roll, and we can see some substantial doubling on the legend on the obverse. And again, if I flip it to the reverse and we look at the dates, you can see some doubling at the base of these numbers as well. So that's fantastic that we found 3 so far. I actually found one with minor doubling on the legend on the obverse. I didn't bring it up. So it's really 4 that we found, and we've got a lot more to look at. Coin 31, and we found yet another one with doubling here on the legend. And again, if I flip this over and we look at the dates, we can see it all along the base of the dates and a little bit on Canada as well. You can really see it on the A there. This is a awesome find. Very next coin in the roll, and we can see some minor doubling, more on the 9 and the 6 in the date here. It doesn't really carry over quite as much, or it's not as pronounced on the rest. And I didn't see any doubling at all on the obverse on this one. And just a couple of coins later, again, we found some more here. You can really see it on Regina, and we can see it also on the other side at the, very similar to the last one, the base of the numbers here, you can really see it. And again, the very next coin, the very same kind of doubling we're seeing on the obverse, as well as on the numbers on the reverse as well. You can see it at the base of the numbers. Next coin, again, same thing. You can see, look at the double serif on the G, some significant doubling. It's also on the obverse. I've looked through an entire roll of uncirculated 67s in the past and not found any with this kind of doubling. And we might have just found a part of, like, all these coins might have been minted at the same time with the same kind of same die and the same error. I haven't found doubling on all of them. Here's a couple of the stacks here that don't have any doubling on them at all. And these are the ones over here that show the doubling. But we've just seemed to have hit a group of them all together. Same roll, and I just had a couple that didn't have any doubling, but we found another one where we can see it on the legend. And again, that same kind of doubling on the numbers on the reverse as well. I've got coin 41 from that roll under the scope, and we just keep finding more. You can see it really on the 6 and the 7 there. And when I flip to show the legend, particularly on Regina, you can see all of that doubling again, very evident. And I just brought another one up here just so you could see what we would expect if there was no doubling. You can see these numbers are really crisp and clear. And if I flip to the other side, you can see that these letters are nice and clear. There's no doubling. That's what they normally look like, but we're finding ones that are significantly deviate from that. Well, we just finished that roll. I just figured I'd give a little bit of a wrap up. We have 9 on the left that you see that have significant doubling on the obverse and the reverse. And we have 2 on the right that have minor doubling only on one side. So that's more than a fifth of the roll had significant doubling. And of course, I've gone through lots and lots of these before. I found others recently, but not in this kind of shape and not in this kind of quantity. And roll number 20, our last roll of this hunt, is exactly the same wrapper. And when I look in the edge, I can see what appears to be, now this is the ender coin, so it's going to have some toning, but it looks like we've got some more uncirculated coins that this could very well be another entire roll of 1967s for us to scope. Okay, I have laid down the roll, and there is our ender with some toning, but of course when I flip it over, absolutely we can see another 1967, generally in mint condition. That appears to be what this entire roll is. And so we'll get to work and see if we've got any more with doubling. That would be incredible. Well, second coin in, and maybe I should not have been surprised. I can see on the legend there, and if I flip over to show the date, we can see that doubling on 1967 and 1867. So we might have found ourselves another roll right from that same part of the mint process where these were where this doubling was happening. Coin number 13, and we found another coin with the same sort of doubling on the obverse and the reverse. It's really incredible. Well, I stopped filming them because I just kept finding them, but I'm bringing it back in because they just keep coming up, and they're all very similar with the doubling on very evident on the numbers, not so much on Canada, and definitely on the DG Regina, and as we see here. So we've just found a ton of these. It's unbelievable. Well, we have hunted our 20 rolls of pennies, and you can see the carnage here with some discards and the wrappers, and it was a crazy hunt. I'll go through the wrap up here. We got this 2006 that appears to have been either polished. It looks like it was actually compressed in some way so that the rim of the coin has been sort of pushed in. Very strange. Not sure what that's all about. Our oldest of the hunt was this really mangled 1956, but we did find some other Laureate portraits. We found a 62, two 63s. We found 5 1964s, including this one here, which is in pretty much a mint state with some really cool toning, but it's got lots of detail. We found this 1974, and you can see that it looks like the 4 was struck through grease. You can barely see it. And this 1979 that has the double 7-9 variety that we looked at. But the most incredible finds we had was finding 2 full rolls of various mint state 1967 Rock Dove commemorative Confederation coins. What was incredible about that is that fully 25 of them were the double die variety. We saw doubling on the dates and doubling on the legend. And I've pulled one up on the scope here. And this is pretty much what we saw on all of them. You can see the heavy doubling on Regina. That's just incredible. And then, of course, on the date, we saw that as well. You can see that on this coin. So to get 25 of them, now 3 of them had only doubling on one side or the other. So we can see the stack right here where my finger is pointing. They just had doubling on one side, but all of the rest of them there, and they're in gorgeous shape, had significant doubling. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed my hunt. Definitely like this video if you thought you enjoyed it. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, CAD Roll Hunter. Hope to see you again. Thanks for watching. I've got more videos coming out. Take care and see you soon.